Hello everyone, welcome to the 14th lab. You can find the link of this lab in the description. So let's enter the contest. The first question is perfect number. The problem statement is a number is a perfect number if it is equal to sum of its proper divisors. That is, sum of its positive divisors excluding the number itself. Write a function to check if the given number is perfect or not. In case the number is a perfect number, print perfect number, else print not a perfect number. Note, if the given number is negative, we need to print invalid input. So let's see the first test case. The input given is 6. So we have to take all the factors of 6 excluding 6. So all the factors of 6 are 1, 2 and 3. So if we add them, we get the number 6. So 6 is a perfect number. Let's see the next test case. We have the input 4. For 4, we have the factors as 1 and 2. And if we add 1 and 2, we get 3, which is not equal to 4. So it is not a perfect number. So let's see how we can code this. So let's start by making object of scanner class. I'll write scanner sc is equals to new scanner system.in. Now I have to take a number n as input. So I'll write int n is equals to sc.nextInt. The first case is if n is negative. So if n is less than 0, here I'll print invalid input system.out.print invalid input, and I'll return from the main function. If n is not negative, I need to find out all the factors of n and I need to add them. If the sum is equal to the number, it's a perfect number. Otherwise, it's not a perfect number. So first I'll take a variable sum to store the sum and initialize it to 0. So how will I calculate the factors? So I'll start the loop variable from 1. Now I have to calculate only the proper divisors, that is all the divisors which are less than the number. So I'll go till I less than n, I plus plus. Now here, if the number n is divisible by I, it means that I is a proper divisor. So I need to add I to the value of sum. So I'll write sum plus is equals to I. Now after this for loop is over, the sum of the proper divisors is calculated. Now I'll check if this sum is equal to n or not. So if sum equal to n, here we can check with n because the value of n is not modified in the loop. So if sum is equals to n, I'll print perfect number. So I'll write system.out.print perfect number, and in the else part, I'll print system.out.print not a perfect number. Let's try to run this code. The sample test cases have passed. Let us submit it now. All the test cases have passed. Moving on to the next question, that is highest common factor. Given two numbers, find the highest common factor. HCF for highest common factor is the greatest number which divides each of the two or more numbers. So if either of the two numbers is negative, you have to print invalid input. Let's see the first test case. We are given 8 and 12. So the answer is 4 because 4 is the highest number which divides both of them. For the next test case, we have 14 and 21 and the HCF returned is 7. So how do we calculate HCF? We need to find a number which is largest and it divides both of them. Suppose we have two numbers, let's say 8 and 12. If I write factors of 8, I'll have 1, 2, 4 and 8. If I write factors of 12, I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 and 12. So the highest number which divides both is 4. 2 also divides both of these numbers, but 2 is not highest. So here we can see that HCF is always less than or equal to both of these numbers. So let's say this number is A and this number is B. We can see that the highest common factor has to be less than or equal to both these numbers. So I need to check all the numbers that starts from minimum of A comma B to 1. In all these numbers, I need to find a number which divides both A and B, and it should be the highest number. So if I start checking from the minimum number and go till 1, as soon as I find the first number that divides A and B, I'll stop there and say that it's the HCF of both the numbers. So let's see how we can code it. First of all, we'll make object of scanner class. So I'll write scanner sc is equals to new scanner system.in. Next, I'll take two integers as input. So int a is equals to sc.nextInt. Similarly, int b is equals to sc.nextInt. Now the note is given as if either of the two numbers is negative, we need to print invalid input. So if a less than equal to 0 or b less than equal to 0, in this case we need to print invalid input. And return from the main function. Now if both the numbers are positive, how will we start? We'll start comparing from the minimum of these numbers. So how will we calculate minimum? We can use the function math.min of a and b, and I'll go till 1 I minus minus. Now if both these numbers are divisible by I, so if a mod I equal to 0 and b mod I equal to 0, this means I is the highest common factor. So I'll print I in this case and break from the for loop. So let's try to run this code. The sample test cases have passed. Let us now submit this. All the test cases have passed. Moving on to the next question, that is greatest common divisor. The problem statement is given three numbers, find the greatest common divisor of the three. So greatest common divisor is same as highest common factor. So if any of the number is not positive, you need to print invalid input. So here we are given three numbers and we need to find the GCD of these three numbers. So let's see how we can code this. First, we'll make object of scanner class. So we'll write scanner sc is equals to new scanner system.in. Next, we have to take three integer variables. So I'll write int a is equals to sc.nextInt, int b is equals to sc.nextInt, and int c is equals to sc.nextInt. Now we need to check if any of these numbers is not positive, we need to print invalid input. So I'll write if a less than equal to 0 or b less than equal to 0 or c less than equal to 0. So in this case, we will print invalid input. Invalid input. So we'll keep all the remaining part in else. In the else part, we need to find out the highest common factor. So we'll start from the minimum of these three and go till 1, decrementing the value of loop variable. So I'll start my loop variable from. Now how will I calculate minimum of these three? So first of all, I'll calculate math.minimum of a comma b. Now I have the minimum from a and b. Now I will calculate the math.minimum of this result with the variable c. Now this is the minimum of all the three values, and I will go up to 1 I minus minus. Now I'll check if I divides each of a, b and c, then it is the highest common factor. So if a mod I equal to 0 and b mod I is equals to 0 and C mod I equals to 0. So this is the highest common factor. I'll print it, system.out.print I, and I need not check any other factor. I only need the highest factor. So I'll break from the loop here. So let's try to run this code. The sample test cases have passed. Let us now submit it. All the test cases have passed. Moving on to the next question. The next question is least common multiple. Given two numbers, find the least common multiple of the two. So here we have to find out the LCM of the given two numbers. So let's say the input is 2 and 5, the LCM of these is 10. If the input is 7 and 14, the LCM is 14. Suppose I have two numbers 8 and 10. If I write the multiples of 8, I'll have 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 56 and so on. If I write multiples of 10, I'll get 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 and so on. So the minimum multiple which is divisible by both of these numbers is 40. So now 40 is the LCM of these two numbers. So how can we calculate the lowest common multiple? Suppose I have this number as A and this number as B. Now you can see LCM has to be greater or equal to both these numbers. So I can start from maximum of A comma B, and I need to check till A multiplied by B, because A multiplied by B is multiple of both these numbers and it is divisible by both the numbers. So from this number to this number, I need to check all the numbers, and in this case I need the lowest number which is divisible. So I'll start from this number and go on till this. As soon as I find the first number that is divisible by both A and B, I'll stop there and declare that that number is the least common multiple of the numbers. So let's see how we'll code this. So let us code it. First of all, we'll make object of scanner class. So we'll start scanner sc is equals to new scanner system.in. Now we'll take two integers as input. So int a is equals to sc.nextInt and int b is equals to sc.nextInt. So now we will start from maximum of a comma b, and the loop variable will start from math.max a comma b, and it will go till the product of these two numbers a multiplied by b I plus plus. As soon as I find the first number which is divisible by I, if I mod a equal to 0 and I mod b equals to 0, then I is the LCM. So I will print I here. So I'll write system.out.print I and I'll break. Let's run this code. Let us now submit it. All the test cases have passed. Moving on to the next question. The next question is automorphic number. Given an integer input, check whether the given number is an automorphic number or not. For a number to be automorphic, its square has to end with the number itself. If a number is automorphic, print yes, otherwise print no. Let's see the first test case. The input is 5. So square of 5 is 25, which ends with 5. So this is a automorphic number. So I have the number n as 5 and its square is 25. So 25 ends with 5. So it is an automorphic number. Suppose I have the input number as 76. If I calculate the square of 76, I'll get 5776. Now this number ends with 76. That is, the square ends with the number itself. In this case, the number is automorphic. Otherwise, it's not automorphic. So let's see how we can code this. First, we'll start by making object of scanner class. So I will write scanner sc is equals to new scanner system.in. Now I'll take an integer input. So int 10 is equals to sc.nextInt. Now I'll calculate its square. So int sq is equals to n multiply by n. Now, while my number is greater than 0, I need to check if the remainders are equal. So, if n mod 10 is not equal to square mod 10, that means the last digit is not equal. In this case, I can directly print it's not an automorphic number, so I'll print no. And here I can return from the main function. Otherwise, I'll divide n and the square by 10. So I'll divide these numbers and get the next numbers. So I'll write n is equals to n divided by 10, and also square is equals to square value divided by 10. Now if it keeps on dividing until n becomes 0, this means that the number is automorphic. So here we will print yes. So I'll write system.out.print yes. Let's try to run this code. The sample test cases have passed. Let us now submit it. All the test cases have passed. Moving on to the next question. The next question is abundant number. Given an integer input, the objective is to check whether or not the sum of all the factors of the number except the number itself is greater than the number. If the number is abundant, print yes, otherwise print no. Note, if the number is negative, we need to print invalid input. Let's see the first test case. We have the number 18. So all the factors of 18 except 18 are 1, 2, 3, 6 and 9. If we add all these numbers, we get 3 plus 3, 6, 6 plus 6, 12, 12 plus 9. We get 21, which is greater than 18. So 18 is abundant. So let's try to code it. First, we will make object of scanner class. So I'll start by writing scanner sc is equals to new scanner system.in. Next, I'll take an integer n as input. So int n is equals to sc.nextInt. Now I need to check all numbers starting from 1 till less than n. So for int I is equals to 1, I less than n, I plus plus. Now if n is divisible by I, that means n mod I equal to 0. Here I is the factor, so I need to sum all the factors. So here I will write int sum is equals to 0, sum is initialized to 0, and if I is a factor, I'll add I to value of sum. Now I need to check if the sum value is greater than n. So if sum is greater than n, in this case the number is abundant, so we need to print yes. So I'll write system.out.print yes, and in the else part I'll print no. System.out.print no. Now here in the note we are given if the number is negative, we need to print invalid input. So after taking the input, we can check if n is less than 0. Here we will print invalid input. So I'll write system.out.print invalid input, and I'll return from the main function. So I'll write return. Let's run this code. The sample test cases have passed. Let us now submit it. All the test cases have passed. Moving on to the next question, that is Harshad number. Given an integer input, check if the number is Harshad number. A Harshad number is a number which is completely divisible by sum of its digits. If the number is Harshad, print yes, otherwise print no. So let's see how to code it. First, we'll make object of scanner class. So I'll write scanner sc is equals to new scanner system.in. Next, we'll take an integer n as input. So int n is equals to sc.nextInt. Now I need to find out the sum of all the digits of this number n. So while n is greater than 0, for calculating sum, I'll declare a variable sum and initialize it to 0. Now inside the loop, I'll add the last digit of the number to sum. So sum plus is equals to n mod 10, and I'll modify n as n divide equals to 10. Now I need to check if this sum value is divisible by n, but n is modified in the while loop. So I need to store the value of n in some another variable. Let's say temp. So int temp is equals to n. So here I'll check if temp is divisible by sum. That means temp mod sum equal to 0. In this case I'll print yes. Else I need to print no. So else system.out.print no. Let's try to run this code. The sample test cases have passed. Let us now submit it. All the test cases have passed. Moving on to the next question, that is friendly pair. Given two integer inputs, check whether they form a friendly pair or not. A pair of two numbers is said to be friendly if the ratio of the number upon sum of the factors of a number except the number itself for both the numbers matches. Print yes if the numbers given form a friendly pair, otherwise print no. So let's see how to code it. First we'll make object of scanner class. So I'll write scanner sc is equals to new scanner system.in. Now I need to take two numbers as input. So let's say int a is equals to sc.nextInt and int b is equals to sc.nextInt. Now I need to calculate sum of the factors of these two numbers except the number itself. So let's take two variables sum1 and initialize both of them to 0. Sum1 is equals to 0 and sum2 is equals to 0. So for calculating sum1, I need a loop from 1 till less than a. So I'll write for int I is equals to 1, I less than a, I plus plus. Now if a mod I equal to 0, this means I is the factor. So I'll add I to value of sum1. Similarly, for calculating sum2, I'll copy paste this loop and I'll go from 1 to b, and if b is divisible by I, I'll add value of I to sum2. Now I need to check if ratio of a divided by sum1 and b divided by sum2 is equal or not. So I'll write if a divided by sum1 equal to b divided by sum2 is equal. Suppose I want to compare two ratios, let's say 9 by 10 and 8 by 10. So both of these are not equal. This value is 0.9, this value is 0.8. But if I directly compare it like this, both of these are integers. So this will give an integer 0. This will also give an integer 0, which will be equal. So we cannot directly compare the ratios. We first need to typecast it. So I'll typecast one of the variables in both sides. So I'll write here double A and double B. Now if these are equal, in this case I'll need to print yes. So I'll write system.out.print yes, else I'll print no, else system.out.print no. Let's try to run this code. The sample test cases have passed. Let us now submit it. All the test cases have successfully passed. So all the questions in this lab are complete. Thanks for watching. See you in the next lecture.